the global market had begun to pivot from HFCs to Novec 1230, and 3M had actually opened up a separate plan and had continued to expand its production capability to keep up with the global demand. And one of the things that took place was, after several conversations with Paul, we decided to come together and form Standard Fluids to continue the legacy of the chemists and engineers that developed these molecules. So in August of 2023, we officially formed our corporation, and from then on, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary, and we have a great team that's second to none, that were the ones that really not only pioneered the chemistry but led the OEMs to develop their own solutions using Novec 1230. So very, very cool evolution, and that's the heart of our companies, our team.
So I've got a question on that demand topic, so I don't want to forget that. Yep. But one of the other things I want to make sure I'm getting out was, what differentiates SF1230 from other available agents on the market? Like, what makes it different, and then why would you want to choose it over another? Tell me, give me the pros and cons.
Yeah, it's a good question, and a question that we get asked frequently. The science behind, and I'm not a chemical engineer, but the science behind the chemistry and the know-how of how to not only produce but to verify a molecule that is used for very sensitive applications is critical. We have a laboratory that we established when we formed our company to be able to set up the methods to test these materials and ensure that their quality meets a standard that we know. So that chemistry is really critical to ensuring that what goes inside of the Fike tank is in fact has a purity and a quality that is second to none and has been tested and proven by the same engineers that developed that chemistry. So we're not just taking it for granted of anything that's shipped or provided to us. We actually work with the factories, make sure that the chemistry is correct. Then we double test it in our laboratory.
Okay. So you have a team that's double checking quality in every facet before it gets in the bottle.
Absolutely, and then we put our brand on it, and then we send it to our partner. So what you receive has a vetted certificate of analysis that's been tested by our engineers, and then and only then is when we send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. I was on the demand topic. I was at a customer yesterday, and I saw this billboard that said, come develop here. A lot of water usage, we've got all the capability and land to be able to build whatever you want here, implying where I think they were going was data centers is kind of where I was going. Sure. Those are becoming more and more ubiquitous out in the world, and I know that this specific SF1230 is kind of tailored towards that. As this application continues to get larger and larger and bigger, how can you ensure that your customers are going to be serviced and appropriately with whatever product?
Good question, and it's a question that we typically pose back to you. So what is your demand? So we have the ability to supply you with whatever quantity you need. We have the resources and the raw materials, and we have the ability to produce in large quantities to the same basically to the same production level that 3M had.
There you go.
And what we do is we need your demand. We need your client's demand, and that lets us make sure that we have our pipeline to the, producing the quantity that you need. Okay. So it's a little bit of training your teams out there in the marketplace to let them know, hey, make sure you're communicating to your, to Fike, and let them know that we've got these projects in the forefront. That way we work together very closely with your team internally here to make sure that we can deliver when you need it. And we have those fluid conversations, no pun intended, on a weekly basis. Yeah. And that's part of the relationship that we have with the Fike team.
I love the relationship. I'm going to get there too. So I'm going to get there. But so what I'm hearing is, and one of the things I'm hearing you say is that Standard Fluids can take all of that 3M business that was taken away. You guys can fill that gap, and then you're scaling to do more. Is what I'm hearing.
We are, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm heading outside of the U.S. In a couple of weeks to meet with our co-founders, and we're accelerating our plan that we had for production in 5 years, and we're looking to put that into play very, in the near term. So, we depend greatly on the relationship that we have with the Fike team, and likewise, we see that the global demand is not it's continuing to accelerate. So we want to be positioned for that, and these are materials that are modern products that are made for their times, so it's exciting to be part of this. And, we just are, again, very privileged to have the opportunity to work with the teams that we have.
Yeah. So, you mentioned the partnership and privilege to work together, and that I agree. That's awesome to have you as a partner. So I know that you're at the forefront of developing the partnership. So tell me about kind of the genesis of how we started working together and how it kind of evolved and where you see it going.
Yeah. So the first time, we had a chance to meet with your team was in Dubai a couple of years ago. And, we had a nice meeting with both Josh and Adam and a couple other folks. And we, sat down with Josh and, I basically told him our story. At the time, we didn't have a relationship. We had just started our company, and I think we were 3 months into we started in August, and it was in January, February that I met with him. And, I'll quote you, Josh, on this, but he said, 3M left the flag in the middle of the field, and we're going to pick it up and run down with you. And that was like a great statement to hear Josh say, and from that day on, our relationship has continued to solidify, and, we're growing together, so I'm greatly appreciative of his commitment and our commitment reciprocating to him and to the Fike organization to make sure that whatever, is needed to get to the next level, we're working together with you on that. So that's how it began. So that was day one, so moving forward, then it's putting together the infrastructure of our company, the logistics, the supply chain, all the testing that's required. And we're currently working with you on some things that are, confidential, but we are excited about the future, with Fike. And again, it's a great opportunity to continue the genesis of what we began, and the future is bright.
What's your favorite part of your job? What's the most fun thing that you do that you're like, I love this job?
Honestly, it's, getting a chance to listen to some of the people that we have that are just amazingly smart. We truly have people that are second to none in their class, that have been passionate as we are about fire, about the chemistry. And that's really cool, to sit in a room with a couple of chemical engineers, geek talking about, things that are way outside of my wheelhouse, but they know that they're able to solve a problem, and that's what we bring to the table, right? It's not just about the product. It's about solving a problem.